Good morning, children. In the last period, we saw that some things sink and some things float according to the density. Yeah, children. So I taught you that some things float according to the density, and some things sink according to the like heavy density. If they are heavier than the water, then they'll sink. If they are lighter than the water, then they will float. So water, I'm talking about the density of the water and the density of the things. So next we'll see, is it magic? So when Aisha woke up in the morning, Ammi had fever. Okay, Abu made some tea and went to give medicines to Ammi. He told Aisha, you boil eggs. Also put some salt in the water. Aisha took water in the pot. By mistake, she put too much of salt in the water. She saw the eggs at the bottom of the pot come up a little and start to float in the water. Okay. So initially, when she put the eggs in the water, the density of the egg was heavy, it was more, so the eggs just sink inside. But as soon as the salt started dissolving in the water, the density of the water becomes no more, and more than the density of the eggs, and hence density of the eggs are now lesser than the density of the water, hence it started floating. This activity can be done by you children. You can do it. You can take lemon. You just take lemon and just see. Initially you put the lemon in the water, it just sinks, but now after some time you add a whole lot of salt into it and start dissolve it. And after that, when you put the lemon into it, then you will see that the lemon starts floating. So this is not a magic, it's only the matter of fact that the densities, you are just changing the density of the water by dissolving the salt into it. Okay, so you make the density of the water more than the density of the lemon, hence the lemon starts floating. So take some water in a glass, put a lemon in it. Now keep putting salt in the water, half a spoon at a time. Were you able to float your lemon in the water? So this activity, children, you have to perform, and you'll have to click the picture when your lemon starts floating. Okay. What do you think? The lemon floated in salty water because of the density. Yes. Now this Dead Sea. Now this is very interesting, children. Here you can see this man is nicely floating into the Dead Sea. So nobody can die, no, in the Dead Sea. Even if they don't know how to swim. So because automatically when somebody you throw into the water, Dead Sea, they will float. Yeah, why? Because the Dead Sea has lot of salt into it. And how much salt into it? This is very important, children. Okay, so you will have to pay attention, and you will have to underline all the lines. Okay, so start underlining, children. So, Dead Sea. All oceans and seas have salty water. The saltiest of all is the Dead Sea. How salty is the question? Now imagine, this is very important, 300 grams of salt in 1 liter of water. Just listen and imagine, children, you have taken out just 1 liter of the water from the Dead Sea, and when you keep it on the flame, or you just keep it outside for in the sun, after some time you will see all the water, it gets evaporated, leaving behind 300 grams of salt in 1 liter. Would you be able to even taste such a salty water? It would be very bitter. Interestingly, even if a person does not know how to swim, she would not drown in this. See, she will float in water as if lying down on it. Okay, so remember your lemon, it start floating in the salty water because of the density of the water is more than the density of the lemon. Yeah, so here you can see how this man is enjoying, just lying down as if he is lying down in the on the ground. Yeah, moving ahead, what dissolved and what did not? On Sunday, Aisha's cousin brother Hamid came to her house to play. As soon as he came, he asked his aunt to make his favorite shakkarpara, a sweet dish. Everybody knows shakkarpari? Ammi said, let me come back from the market, then I will make some for you. Why don't you help me? Take 2 glasses of water and put a bowl of sugar in it. Mix it till it dissolves. Hamid thought, let me finish this work fast and then I will watch TV. Suggest some ways to Hamid for quickly dissolving sugar. You can ask your parents, how can you dissolve the sugar quickly? Okay, children, since I have already spoken about the density, so as soon as you start mixing salt or sugar into the water, the density becomes more, means it becomes heavy, it becomes thick. Okay, children. So, what you can do, this activity can be done. So, you can ask your parents, of course, you ask your mother that how can you dissolve the sugar fast into the water. What is the different ways by which you can dissolve the sugar fast? So do this experiment. Make a group of 4 friends for the experiment. So there is no, if you don't have 4 friends, at least you can have one or two you can have. For the experiment, you will need 4-5 glasses of bowls, spoon, water, and the things listed in the table. Take some water in each glass. Now try to dissolve one thing in one glass. Observe what happens. This you can do alone at home. So children, here there are 5 things. So you take 5 different glasses or 5 different bowls. Okay. So did it dissolve? So first you have to put salt into it and you have to keep stirring it, and then you have to see whether it dissolves or not. What happens after keeping it for 2 minutes? Then put soil. Does it dissolve? Next is chalk powder, then a spoon of milk and oil. So it dissolves means you cannot see it separately. Okay, it doesn't float or it doesn't sink. So now the term dissolve and not dissolve is going to be clear. As soon as you put salt into it, the salt disappears. It doesn't mean that there is no salt into the water. The salt goes into the water only, but it dissolves. So if soil disappears, then chalk disappears, a spoon milk disappears or oil disappears. What happens if it disappears? Or if you can see it separately. If you can see it separately, means it does not dissolve. If you can't see it separately, that means it dissolves. Okay, now you have to do this activity and then you have to show me. Okay, so could you see the salt after it dissolved in the water? If no, why? Does that mean that now the water does not have salt? If it has, then where is the salt? Salt got dissolved into the water. So what difference did you see in the water with the salt and the water with the chalk powder after keeping for some time? So you will see that the water with the salt, so there is no salt visible, but the chalk powder gets settled at the base. Okay. So, which of the two would you be able to separate from the water by straining with a cloth, salt or chalk powder? Tell me, children, whether you will be able to separate the salt by the strainer. Strainer is chunni. Okay. Yes or no, that you have to tell me. So, there are many things which cannot be easily labeled as soluble or insoluble. Soluble means which dissolves and insoluble means which does not dissolve in water. Okay, so these categories are anyways not needed here. Children you need to be filling the table on the basis of your own observation. So as you have seen here in the table, you have to tell me whether salt dissolves, whether soil dissolve, whether chalk powder, milk and oil dissolve or not on the basis of your observation. So you have to do this activity and then you have to tell me whether it got dissolved or not. So while doing the experiment, Aisha and Hamid had an argument. Aisha felt that after stirring it, the oil dissolved in the water. Hamid did not agree. He said, "Look, the tiny yellow oil drop can still be seen in the water." Aisha said, "Let's wait for some time and then see." Do you think the oil got dissolved in the water? Why do you think so? You have to tell me, children. You have to leave it for some time and then you have to see whether it floats or it gets dissolved. Okay. Now, this is interesting. Racing drops. Okay children, so this we will see in the next video. So first we'll finish this.